Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to today's session. So in today's session, we are going to discuss two very important news articles related to SEBI. As you know that in the RBI Grade B examination, in the recent one, there were various SEBI related news, SEBI related questions in the phase 2 examination. Okay, so SEBI news, they are very important from your RBI examination perspective and from the SEBI Grade A examination perspective also. The SEBI news articles are very important, and that's why the important ones you have to cover. And today I have brought two very important SEBI news articles that you have to cover. Okay, the first one is regarding the SEBI's PaRRVA. So here we are going to understand that what is this PaRRVA, why it has been launched, and how it is going to help, what is the eligibility criteria, and further more things we are going to discuss in this. The second news article is regarding the SEBI has appointed the high level committee, and this is going to check the conflict of interest and such for the SEBI board of members only. So you can understand that the SEBI, that is the Securities and Exchange Board of India, for itself, for its own board members, it has brought a high level committee that is going to check and recommend, that is going to review the conflict of interest of the board members and such. So we are going to understand that how it is going to be helpful and how it will benefit. Okay, so these two news articles we are going to discuss in today's session. First of all, give me a thumbs up if everything is fine, if I'm clearly audible and visible. So now let's start with these two news articles, and they are very important from the objective point of view from your regulatory body examination perspective. Okay, so the first so before starting with the news articles, do subscribe to the YouTube channel of EduTap so that you continue getting the relevant videos, and do join our Telegram channel where you will get the PDF of the session, and the link for the Telegram channel is provided in the description box below. Okay, so good morning to all of you and welcome to the session. So first we are going to discuss about the recognition and operationalization of PaRRVA. So SEBI has established, Securities and Exchange Board of India has recently established the PaRRVA. The full form of PaRRVA is the Past Risk and Return Verification Agency. So PaRRVA is an agency that is going to do the past risk and return verification. So usually see, there are the high net worth individuals, there are the institutional investors, there are the non-institutional investors. So these are the investors that invest a lot in the markets, in the shares, in the securities, in the bonds. Now when they are going to invest, how they are going to invest? They don't invest on the basis of the sentiments, they don't invest just on the basis of the market fluctuation, they invest on the basis of the data, that okay, how much is the risk associated with this share, how much is the return associated with this share. Okay, so the high net worth individuals, the big institutional investors, the non-institutional investors, they usually hire the investment advisors or they hire the research analyst for the research and for the advice that where they should be investing their huge amount of money. Okay, so now if the investment advisors or research analysts are providing some advice to the institutional investors or the high net worth individuals that you should invest in this particular company, you should invest in this small and medium enterprises, or you should invest in these enterprises. So usually it is very hard to trust the investment advisors or research analysts, that are they really saying true, or are they getting some benefit from the company, and that's why they are recommending this company for us to invest in. So there is a lot of speculation, or there is a lot of like discrepancy that can come, or the high net worth individuals are not very uh, trusting of the investor advisors or the research analyst usually. So now the PaRRVA is the Past Risk and Return Verification Agency. So if the investor advisors or the research analysts, they are saying some numbers that okay, the risk is this much and the return is this much, so their data can be verified, their data can be verified through the PaRRVA. Now, who are going to hire the PaRRVA for the verification? So the investment advisors, the research analysts, they can themselves hire the PaRRVA, so that through the PaRRVA the verification is happening, and the high net worth individuals, the institutional investors, they can trust the advisors numbers that they are throwing, or the investment advisors, they are seeking verification for their numbers, so that the customers, or so that the investors can trust the numbers that they are providing. Okay, so PaRRVA is not only going to benefit the customers or the investors, the big investors, they can directly seek the verification of data, they can directly seek the verification of data. from the PaRRVA that okay, what the investment advisors or research analysts, the number that they are giving, is it really correct? The risk return ratio that they have told, is it really correct? As well as the investment advisors or the research analysts, they can also seek the verification from the PaRRVA, so that the investment advisors and research analysts, with the verification from PaRRVA, they can show that okay, you can see that the data that we are telling is correct, and that's why you should invest in this company, and then they get some benefit also, right? So they can get, the investment advisors and research analysts also, they seek verification from the PaRRVA, so that they can give the they can claim the data, okay, that is verified by PaRRVA, and this will be more trustworthy. Okay, so SEBI has established this PaRRVA, that is an agency that will perform the validation function. So this is a performance validation agency. This agency will offer validation services for the research analyst, investment advisors, algorithm providers seeking verification. Okay, so PaRRVA will be responsible for verifying risk return metrics. So PaRRVA, it will be responsible for verifying the risk return metrics for the investment advisors, research analyst, algorithm trading professionals, because through the algorithm also the trading happens, and the individuals or the investors that are authorized by the board to provide these services. Okay, so basically the PaRRVA can be used by the investment advisors, research analysts, the algorithm providers or the algo providers, and the individuals also, or the entities also, so that they can verify the data, so that the validation can be taken, and the investment advisors, the research analysts will benefit, because they will claim that okay, in this company you should invest, and that claim will have the verified data, and the customers or the investors will trust them more. So you can understand that one investment advisor is saying that invest in company A, the other investment advisor is saying that invest in company B. We have verified data from PaRRVA that this company B has higher returns. So who will you trust more? Basically just think about it, that will you trust this investment advisor that is offering the like that is saying that invest in company A, but there is no verification that has been done. But if the other investment advisor is saying that invest in company B and they have the verified data from PaRRVA, so you will trust this investment advisor B, and you will invest as per the investment advisor B, and the investment advisor will also benefit because they are getting more customers. Okay, so this is the basic idea, that even the investment advisors and research analysts will benefit from these PaRRVA, from this agency. Okay, so this is the idea, that this verification will be conducted prospectively starting from the date of opting for the PaRRVA service. So investment advisors, the research analysts, by paying a small fee to the PaRRVA, they can take the services of the validation, they can take the validation services, or they can take the verification service, that is verifying the data for the companies, and this is the idea. Now who can become the PaRRVA? So it is basically a CRA, that is the credit rating agency. A credit rating agency may be recognized as a PaRRVA, okay, with a recognized stock exchange serving as PaRRVA data center. Okay, so basically the PaRRVA, and there is the PaRRVA dating center, sorry, data center. So PaRRVA is a principal. Okay, PaRRVA and PaRRVA data center, they have the principal agent relationship. So PaRRVA is the principal and the PaRRVA data center is the agent. Okay, so PaRRVA and the PaRRVA data center, they have a principal agent relationship. So the PaRRVA data center, now who can be PaRRVA, who can be this agency? So the credit rating agency, once they follow the eligibility criteria, the credit rating agency can become the PaRRVA, and the stock exchanges, they can become the PaRRVA data center, that can be, they can become the agent for the PaRRVA. Basically the idea is this. Okay, now you will understand it better once you understand the functionality of the PaRRVA and the PaRRVA data center. So verification process shall be carried out by the PDC. So actually the PDC, that is the PaRRVA data center, is the agent of the PaRRVA. So the PDC is actually carrying out the verification process, because the PaRRVA data center, it has the information, because it is the stock exchange. So the stock exchange can get the information from the stockbrokers, from the depositories, from the clearing corporations. Okay, so stockbrokers from Zerodha, Grow, depositories, that is NSDL and CDSL, clearing corporation, the CCIL and such. So stock exchanges, they can get the information from the market infrastructure institutions like the depositories, clearing corporations and such. Okay, so verification process shall be carried out by the PaRRVA data center as an agent of PaRRVA, as an agent of PaRRVA being the principal. PaRRVA is the principal and the PDC is the agent. Okay, so the verification process will be carried out by the PDC. PDC shall receive the input data. So PDC, it will receive the input data from the market infrastructure institutions. So from the market infrastructure institutions, that is the depositories, the clearing corporation. So the data will be received from the market infrastructure institutions, from the regulated persons, that is from investment advisors, research analysts, the algo providers. From these also the data will be collected from the MFI, that is Association for Mutual Fund. So from here also the data will be collected. So basically the verification process will be carried out by the PDC, that is the agent of the PaRRVA, and PDC will receive the data for verification process from different institutions. The data will be received through application programming interface. Okay, on the real time basis the data will be collected, and then the data will be verified and it will be used for calculating the risk return matrix. Okay, so PDC shall carry out the verification process in terms of the methodology that is specified by PaRRVA. Now you will ask that if the verification is done by PDC, the PDC is receiving the data, it is taking the input data, the PDC is taking the input data, and PDC is the one that is doing the verification of the data, and the PDC is the one that is releasing the risk return, like it is the one that is providing the risk return metrics, or it is calculating the risk return metrics. So what the PaRRVA is actually doing, why that agency has been made, directly the stock exchanges should have been provided the power. So actually PaRRVA is the one that will make the methodology, that is specifying the methodology will be specified by PaRRVA, that how, on what basis the verification will be done, on what basis the risk return metrics will be calculated. So PDC shall carry out the verification process in terms of the methodology that is specified by the PaRRVA and provide the verified output, that is verified data will be provided to the PaRRVA in the predefined format. To the PaRRVA it will be provided, and PaRRVA will actually display the verified risk return metrics on its website. Okay, so basically I hope you have understood the clear-cut idea that what is the function of PDC and what is the function of PaRRVA. PaRRVA is the one that is establishing the methodology for the verification process. It is establishing the risk return metrics that should be calculated. The PDC will be taking the input data, will be doing the verification, and will be calculating the risk return metrics as per the methodology set by the PaRRVA. Okay, so at last, once the verification has happened and the risk return metrics has also been calculated, so PaRRVA will display the verified risk return metrics on its website that shall be accessible to the regulated persons, that is the investment advisors, research analysts, algorithm providers, and investors in general. Okay, so PaRRVA PDC shall have the principal agent relationship. The PDC is just the agent. PDC is just the agent that is working as per the methodology set by the PaRRVA, wherein PaRRVA will avail the service. Now PaRRVA is availing the service of PDC for the verification for the input data and such, and PDC for verification of risk return metrics. However, the complete responsibility for the verification work shall lie with the PaRRVA, and if any mistake happens, that will be the responsibility of PaRRVA, because it is the PaRRVA that should have set the methodology and that should have rechecked that what data has come and such. Okay, so the final responsibility is with the PaRRVA. So investment advisors and research analysts, they can avail the services of PaRRVA and they can make the claims in their advertisement using risk return metrics verified by PaRRVA, and you will trust these metrics more because they are verified. Their verification has been conducted by the stock exchanges, and then the PaRRVA has the responsibility, that is the agency recognized under the SEBI. So you can understand that if investment advisors or research analysts, they are showing you some data that is verified by PaRRVA, you will trust it more. Okay, any confusion here? Yes. Now, the roles and responsibilities. We will understand about the eligibility criteria, that which credit rating agency can become PaRRVA, which stock exchanges can become the PDC. But first, try to understand the roles and responsibilities in a clear-cut manner. So I have discussed with you the basic idea behind the PaRRVA. Now, the PaRRVA will define the methodology for computing the risk return metrics for the verification, formulating verification and operational workflow, that how the data will be collected, from where the data has to be collected. The data has to be collected from depositories or clearing corporations or stockbrokers, from which stockbrokers the data has to be collected. So the whole process will be determined by the PaRRVA. Establishing connectivity with the PDC. So PaRRVA will establish connectivity with PDC for receiving verified risk return metrics for display in the website. The PaRRVA will also store and manage the verified risk return metrics with appropriate information security standards. Okay, so this is the task, or this is the role and responsibility of PaRRVA to define the methodology to make the flow, to make the workflow, or to like oversee the workflow that happens. Now PDC has the responsibility to do the actual calculation, to do the actual verification. So the development and hosting of the verification system will be under PDC. PDC will establish the connectivity with the market infrastructure institutions. Market infrastructure institutions are the big institutions in the market, in the financial market, such as the depositories like the NSDL, CDSL, and the clearing corporations like the CCIL. Okay, regulated persons. So the PDC will also connect with the regulated persons, that is your investment advisors, research analysts, algo providers, and any other agency for sharing the data. Processing of the verification request will be done by the PDC based on the methodology that is set by the PaRRVA. The PDC will also look after that they have the security system for the data that they are collecting, and they have to maintain the confidentiality and the ownership of the data received for the verification process. So it should be confidential data. It's not like that the PDC is releasing the data. No, that cannot happen, because this is a confidential data that only the PDC should be seeing and using. Okay, the PDC should also conduct half yearly internal audits on process and information security and share the reports with PaRRVA. So this is the basic idea, that PaRRVA is setting the methodology, is setting the workflow, but the basic work is done by the PDC, and PDC shares. So PDC calculates the risk return metrics, and the verified risk return metrics are shared with the PaRRVA, which PaRRVA reviews, and then it releases it on its website. Okay, so this is the idea. Any confusion here? Any confusion, anyone? Now, who will be eligible to become the PaRRVA? Okay, so basic eligibility criteria for becoming a PaRRVA. So CRA, that is the credit rating agency, can be recognized as PaRRVA if the credit rating agency has number of years of existence, should be minimum 15 years. That means the credit rating agency should have the existence of minimum 15 years. Minimum net worth of the credit rating agency should be the INR 100 crores. Number of issuers which have obtained ratings of listed or proposed to be listed debt securities from the CRA should be 250 or more. That means 250 or more of the listed debt securities, or to be listed debt securities, should have got the ratings from this credit rating agency. So 250 or more than 250 of the listed debt securities or to be listed debt securities should have got the rating from this credit rating agency. That means this credit rating agency should have rated a lot of securities, a lot of debt securities, then only it can become the PaRRVA. Okay, the CRA should have investor grievance redressal mechanism, so it can address the grievances of the investors, it can address the grievances of the clients, including the online dispute resolution mechanism, so that the disputes can be resolved in a online manner. Okay, so this is the basic eligibility criteria for CRA. You just have to remember the data points in a very thorough manner. Okay, now for the recognition of PaRRVA, actually there is a two-step process that is followed. Okay, so recognition as PaRRVA shall be a two-stage process. First, the PaRRVA, or first a credit rating agency that wants to become a PaRRVA will get a in principle approval. In principle approval means that for the time being you can work as a PaRRVA, but the final and complete recognition will be provided once the credit rating agency has worked very well by becoming the PaRRVA. Okay, so first the in principle approval will be given, in which the credit rating agency can start working as the PaRRVA for the time being only. Then after seeing, after the SEBI sees that okay, this credit rating agency is working very well as a PaRRVA, then the final recognition can be given. Okay, so eligible credit rating agencies that want to become the PaRRVA or that want to be recognized as PaRRVA shall enter into an agreement with an eligible stock exchange to act as PDC. So PaRRVA must have a PDC, because PDC is the one that is collecting the data, that is taking the input data, and that is doing the verification. So if you are willing, if a CRA is willing to become PaRRVA, is willing to be recognized as PaRRVA, the CRA must have the PDC, okay, and submit its application to the SEBI. Now, upon the receipt of application, now once the SEBI has received the application from a CRA, from an eligible CRA that is following these conditions and that has a eligible stock exchange as the PDC, now first the in principle approval will be provided, and after such applicant shall be required to set up necessary infrastructure and verification system. The technology should be present with the PaRRVA to set the methodology, to set the verification process, to see the data flow and such. Okay, within 3 months from the date of receipt of in principle approval, so within 3 months of the receipt of in principle approval that the CRA has got, it has to establish the basic technology server website, because on the website the risk return metrics will be shown. So PaRRVA should at least have a website, right? So this is the basic idea, that once the SEBI has received the application from a CRA to become the PaRRVA, so in principle approval will be provided to the CRA, and within 3 months of receiving the in principle approval, the CRA should have the necessary infrastructure and verification system, such as the technology server website should the CRA must be having within 3 months from the date of in principle approval. Okay. Next is eligibility criteria for PDC. So the stock exchange can become the PDC or can be recognized as the PDC also if the number of years of existence of the stock exchange should be minimum 15 years. That means stock exchange should have worked or existed at least for minimum 15 years. Minimum net worth of the stock exchange should be INR 200 crores, and the stock exchange should have nationwide terminals, that is around the country the terminals should be present for the stock exchange. Stock exchange should have the investor grievance redressal mechanism, so that the investor grievances and the complaints can be addressed through this mechanism, including online dispute resolution mechanism. Okay, now this is for in principle approval, that if you follow these eligibility criteria you can have the in principle approval. But grant of final recognition to the CRA to become the PaRRVA, there are some additional norms that has to be followed. So prior to the grant of final recognition to the PaRRVA, a pre-recognition site visit will be done by the SEBI. So SEBI will do SEBI has provided the in principle approval. In principle approval has been provided by SEBI to a CRA to work as a PaRRVA, and it has been said that within 3 months of getting the in principle approval, the CRA has to have the technology server, the necessary infrastructure the CRA must have. Now the CRA, let's say within 3 months the CRA has got the necessary infrastructure and the technology and such. Now the CRA wants to get the final recognition. So final recognition will be provided by SEBI only after the site visit has been done by SEBI to assess that the implementation of the systems and processes has been done by the CRA that is becoming the PaRRVA and the PDC. Okay, so the concerned CRA and the stock exchange shall ensure that the systems and processes are compliant with the specified cyber security and cyber resilience framework, because you can understand that a lot of data will come to the stock exchanges, a lot of input data will come that will be verified, that will be used for calculating the risk return metrics. So much of the data will be flowing, so that has to be secured. Okay, so cyber security and cyber resilience framework should be very good for the CRA and the stock exchange. Carry out systems and process audit by an auditor empaneled with the recognized stock exchange. So the system audit and the process audit will happen. Provide an auditor certificate to SEBI to its satisfaction. That means the CRA and the stock exchange has to provide an auditor certificate that the auditor has seen everything and the auditor has verified everything, that everything is fine. So the auditor certificate has to be provided to SEBI by the CRA and stock exchange to its satisfaction, confirming that the system and processes are adequate and appropriate to carry out the activities of PaRRVA and PDC. So PaRRVA activity will be conducted by CRA and the stock exchange will conduct the PDC activities. Okay, so this is after seeing all these things, the SEBI can provide the final recognition. Now, operationalization of PaRRVA on a pilot basis. Now, whenever something is rolled out, let's say that you have made a new cookie. You have just made a new cookie, and this is the first time you have cooked and you have baked and you have made a new cookie. Will you distribute it around your house or in your neighborhood without tasting it, or without getting your mother to taste it? No, you don't do it, right? If you are making a new cookie, you first ask your mother or your father or your siblings to taste it, and then when they verify that okay, this is very good, then you distribute it around your neighborhood or in your friend circle or something, right? So similarly, when a new process is being like taken out or is being brought, so it is basically first a pilot survey happens, or first a pilot happens. In the pilot, only a limited group is chosen on which the verification happens, that okay, the work is happening smoothly or not, the process is being followed or not. Once the pilot is successful, that means the in the user base, in the limited area, the pilot is successful, then this structure is rolled out for the whole of the country. This is the basic idea. Yes, only CRA can apply, right? CRA can apply for PDs, CRA can apply for PaRRVA, and the stock exchange, they will become the PDC. Okay. So basically, the CRA and stock exchange shall initiate the verification services of the risk return metrics in respect of services of regulated persons on a pilot basis for a period of 2 months. So first, for a period of 2 months, a pilot will be started, that the PaRRVA will work under the pilot. Okay. The pilot period may be extended by the SEBI on such terms and conditions as the SEBI has prescribed. Okay. During the pilot period, the relevant fine tuning will happen of the process. Let's say the CRA has got the in principle approval to become the PaRRVA, and CRA has made a methodology for the verification of the risk return metrics. Now, let's say there is some problem in the methodology and the data is not coming correct, or there is some problem in the data flow, or there is some problem in the technology, or there is some problem in the website, or there is some problem in the server, let's say. So the relevant fine tuning happens during the pilot phase, because the pilot phase is a limited, like in the limited user group or in the limited group, there is the pilot that is being run, so that if there is any problem in any phase, that can be seen and that can be resolved. So during the pilot period, relevant fine tuning shall be carried out to ensure that a stable technological system is present and efficient and streamlined process is being followed. So this is the basic idea, that the PaRRVA, for the 2 months, the PaRRVA will work on a pilot basis, and after it has been verified that everything is working fine, then the PaRRVA will be released for the whole of the country. Okay. So PaRRVA shall seek feedback from the regulated persons. Regulated persons are the investment advisors, research analysts, and such. So PaRRVA shall seek feedback from the regulated persons while implementing this process during the pilot period. So during the pilot period, the PaRRVA can take the feedback and PaRRVA can work on it, and the CRA can like make it better. The verified risk return metrics shall not be made public during this time period, because during this time period only the checking is happening, or only the methodology is just being seen that it is working fine or not. It might be changed, there might be some difference, or there might be some change that can happen. Okay. So during the pilot phase, the verified risk return metrics, they will not be made public during the pilot period, because fine tuning is happening and various changes might be made. So after the pilot period, the based on the assessment of the oversight committee, so PaRRVA will also have a oversight committee. So based on the assessment of the oversight committee and subject to relevant changes in the operational framework, in the methodology and such, PaRRVA shall commence providing its services to the regulated persons and the investor in general. So once the pilot has finished and all the fine tuning has happened, all the changes have been made in the operational framework and in the process, once the pilot has finished and the changes have been made, then the PaRRVA can provide the services to investors and regulated persons in general. So if the investors want the verification of the data for risk return, so investors can get the data, or if the regulated persons like the investment advisors, research analysts, they want to verify the data, so that they have the tag of verification from PaRRVA. Okay. So they can get the verification done by PaRRVA. Okay. Maintenance of records. So PaRRVA shall arrange to keep and maintain records for a minimum period of 5 years. So whatever records is generated by PaRRVA, let's say on its website, it is showing the verified risk return metrics of particular companies. So this records should be maintained with PaRRVA for at least 5 years, for minimum period of 5 years. Okay. So all the verified output received from the PDC, or all the verified risk return metrics that is disseminated through the website, so all of this, or shared with the clients and such, so all of this should be maintained for a period of 5 years. Similarly, the PDC should also keep and maintain the input data that the PDC has received from the market infrastructure institutions, from the MFI, from the regulated persons, from the different entities, the PDC that has received the input data, that needs to be stored with PDC for a minimum period of 5 years. Okay. So this is the basic idea. Now, coming to the oversight committee. PaRRVA shall constitute an oversight committee within 2 months of the date of in-principle approval given by SEBI. So there should be an oversight committee that should be established by PaRRVA to oversee the activities of the CRA as a PaRRVA and the stock exchange as the PTC. Now the oversight committee will monitor the charges that are being taken by PaRRVA for doing the verification of the data and for providing the verified risk return metrics. It should not be that PaRRVA is charging very high charges from the investors or from the investment advisors or from research analysts. Then they will not want to take the verification from PaRRVA, because if it is very expensive, let's say you want to buy the shares worth 10 lakh and for the verification you have to give 2 lakh. So it will be very expensive for you, or for the verification, let's say you have to give 5 lakh. You will not want to do that kind of verification. Okay. So the charges taken by PaRRVA should be reasonable, so that more and more people or more and more investors take the verification, more and more investment advisors, research analysts take the verification, so that they can verify the data, so that the customers, the investors can take the knowing decision, can take the knowledgeable decision, okay, or informed decision. The oversight committee shall monitor the charges that are being taken by PaRRVA and endeavor to ensure that the verification services of the risk return metrics remain reasonable to the clients of PaRRVA. The oversight committee shall also serve as primary forum for resolution of disputes between PaRRVA and its clients, like the investors or investment advisors or research analysts and such. So if any problem is coming between PaRRVA and clients, that will be first seen by oversight committee. Now these guidelines regarding the PaRRVA, the inter alia prohibit selective display of verified returns of any specific product or service. So investment advisors or research analysts cannot do this, that let's say they have taken the verified risk return metrics for a year, for 1 year time period, but they know that okay, in this one period the loss has been made, or there was very high risk, very low returns in the starting 6 months, and in the later on 6 months the risk was low, the return was high. So it's not like that they will only show the data for 6 months. That is not allowed. If they have taken the verified risk return metric and they have taken the verified data for 1 year, they have to show the whole data to their clients, okay, and the whole data will be shown in the website, or the verified risk return metric will be shown in the website of the PaRRVA also. So these guidelines inter alia, they prohibit selective display of verified returns of any specific product or service. Selection of arbitrary dates cannot happen, selection of arbitrary time period cannot happen. If the verification has happened of 1 year, that data you have to show to the customers. It's not like that you are selectively showing the data that is showing a rosy picture and you are hiding the thorns, you are hiding the negative image, okay. So that should not be happening, okay. So basically, if any claim using the risk return metrics is being made, that okay, you should buy this particular shares because it is showing verified risk return metrics, the verified risk return metrics has been taken by PaRRVA, that is showing the favorable image for 6 months, but you have to show the whole data, okay. You cannot selectively display the limited data. That should not happen. Willful omission is prohibited. It is not allowed. So now dispute resolution. So let's say the dispute has rose between PaRRVA and the regulated person, that is your investment advisors, research analyst, algorithm providers and such. So this should be first resolved. So any disputes should be first resolved through the internal mechanism provided by PaRRVA, and PaRRVA need to constitute such mechanism for dispute resolution within 2 months of getting the in principle approval, okay. If let's say the internal mechanism is not working fine, or let's say the regulated person is not happy with it, or the PaRRVA is not happy with it, then the appeal can be made to the oversight committee, okay. So this mechanism, internal mechanism of dispute resolution between PaRRVA and the regulated person, this should also provide opportunity for appeal with the oversight committee of the PaRRVA for dispute resolution. Then the case will go to the oversight committee. If no resolution is reached at the level of oversight committee of the PaRRVA also, or the oversight committee level the resolution has not been gained, then the PaRRVA or the regulated person can go to the online dispute resolution portal, that is the securities market approach for resolution through ODR portal. So then the case will go to this, or the dispute will go to this external ODR portal, okay. Investors complaints. Now let's say that this was regarding PaRRVA and regulated persons. But let's say the investors' complaints are rising. The investors are raising their complaint. So if the investors, they are raising their complaints or against any intermediary with respect to the PaRRVA. So basically, if investors are raising the complaints against the investment advisors or research analysts or algo providers with respect to the data that has been verified by the PaRRVA and the data that has been shown by these entities, the complaints against the PaRRVA or the intermediaries shall be dealt through the scores. So scores is the SEBI complaint redressal system. So basically, if the dispute is between the PaRRVA and regulated entities, first the internal mechanism will be used, or first the mechanism of PaRRVA will be used. Then the oversight committee, they can go to oversight committee, or if it is not still resolved, then they can go to the ODR portal of the smart ODR. Okay, but let's say if investor is involved, then in this case directly the SEBI complaint redressal system will come into being or will be used. So this is the SEBI complaint redress system. Okay, so scores will be used by the investors to raise the complaint, and any such disputes through the ODR portal will be handled. Okay, so this is the idea. So basically, if the complaint or if the problem is between PaRRVA and the regulated person, then the mechanism of PaRRVA will be used, or the oversight committee, they can go to oversight committee, or at last they can go to the smart ODR, that is the online dispute resolution system. But if the investor is raising the complaint, then the complaint will be raised through the scores, that is the SEBI complaint redress system, and any such disputes between the investor and the intermediary or investor and the PaRRVA will be seen through this ODR portal. In the likelihood of dispute between the PaRRVA and the PTC, let's say internal dispute has arisen between PaRRVA and PTC, the same shall be resolved by the oversight committee. So this is the idea. So this was the first news article. Any confusion anyone has in this? Any problem, any confusion, anyone? Now coming to the next. No, it is not compulsory, but if you are taking the service of PaRRVA, so it is not compulsory for investment advisor or research analyst to get the verification or to get the verified risk return metrics from PaRRVA. But let's say that if they are getting the verified data, then more customers, more people, more investors will trust on them, right? So basically, if we are getting the verified data, we will trust more on them, right? So this is the idea. Now SEBI constitutes high level committee. So SEBI has constituted the high level committee. So SEBI board at its meeting, so SEBI board, that is the board of members of SEBI, they at its meeting held on March 24, 2025, they decided to constitute a high level committee to undertake a comprehensive review of provisions related to conflict of interest. So what was happening? Let's say you are a member of SEBI board. You have a lot of power to affect the decisions of SEBI, right? Now let's say that you have a brother who has a business, let's say construction business, and SEBI wants to make a new branch in the country. Now you will want that your brother gets this contract of making the new building or making the new branch and whatever. So your interest, your personal interest is affecting the profitability, or it is affecting the interest of SEBI, because your brother might be charging more money, but the SEBI can provide the contract at lesser cost, but you are forcing the SEBI board to give the contract to your brother. So there can be the conflict of interest that can arise in the board of members. The board of members, for their personal interest, they can affect the interest of the SEBI or the whole of the country. That happens, right? So this is the idea that the SEBI has constituted a high level committee. The SEBI board has said that we need to constitute a high level committee so that we can see the provisions relating to conflict of interest, so that the personal interest of the board of members should not affect the interest of the SEBI or the interest of the whole of the country. And the board of members have to make the complete disclosure regarding their property, regarding the investments that they have done in the different shares, stocks, and in the different areas, the investments that they have done, and in the liabilities also, that how much loan they have taken or how much liability they have from different areas. Because if we know that okay, they have done the investment in let's say XYZ company, and that's why they are so favorable to this company, so we will know that okay, this is some personal interest that is getting involved. Okay, so this is what the idea is all about, that the high level committee has been constituted by the SEBI board so that the comprehensive review can happen of the provisions relating to conflict of interest of the board of members or the members of the board and the officials of the board, so that the personal interests do not affect the interest of SEBI or the interest of the whole of the country. And the board of members and the officials, they need to make the disclosures pertaining to their property, investment liabilities and related matters in respect of members and officials of the board. So comprehensive review will happen of the provisions regarding the conflict of interest and the disclosures that the board of members or the members of the board and the officials will have to make. Now, high level committee has been constituted, and the chairman of the high level committee is Shri Pratyush Sinha, the retired IAS, former Chief Vigilance Commissioner. So you can understand that the high level committee has been constituted. Now, what are the terms of reference for the high level committee? In which areas the high level committee will provide the recommendations? So basically, the high level committee will review the existing policies and frameworks that is governing, that is looking after the conflict of interest, that there should not be the conflict of interest. The personal interest should not affect the interest of SEBI as an organization and the interest of the country. Disclosures and related matters. So what are the existing policies and frameworks regarding the disclosures and related matters, and identify any gaps and ambiguities? Because usually what happens, let's say you have done some cheating, but because there was a loophole in the law, because there was a loophole in the uh, rules and regulations, that's why you are getting out of the cheating without any punishment. We have seen many cases in our country. I don't think I need to give any particular example, but people do the cheating, people do some they create some blunders, they create some problems, still they get out of the problem because there is some loophole in the policies and framework. So that has to be checked by this high level committee, that there should be no gap, or they have to identify the gap or the ambiguities in the policies, in the framework, so that the conflict of interest should not happen and the disclosure should be proper, and there should be full disclosure that should happen, that where the board of members have the investment liabilities and such. Okay, next is recommend a robust framework. So the high level committee will recommend a robust framework for preventing, reducing or managing the conflict of interest, including a recusal policy, that means disqualification policy. Let's say you have done some conflict of interest, your personal interest has overshadowed the interest of SEBI, so there should be a disqualification policy that should happen, that that member of board should be disqualified. Then disclosure requirements should be proper, covering the public disclosures. Public disclosure should happen, how much is your property, how much is the increase in property that is happening of yours, what is your liabilities, what is your investments. Provisions pertaining to restriction on investments, maintenance of digital records and framework for monitoring. So all of these has to be recommended by the high level committee, so that there is proper disclosures that happen. Because when the disclosure is happening that today you have 3 properties and you have investment of 2 crores. Now after 5 years, if it is seen that now you have 15 new properties and you have the investment of 100 crores, so it will be seen that how in the time period of 5 years how much more you have gained. So it will be seen that okay, there is some problem. So this is why the disclosures are very important, because right now if you are disclosing your property, that means you are showing that okay, you only have this much property. If the property is increasing rapidly, that means there is some corruption or there is some back end money that you have taken, right? So that's why the disclosures are very, very important. Recommend a mechanism for members of public to raise concerns pertaining to conflict of interest, disclosures including process to examine the complaints. So basically it is also the task of the high level committee to recommend a proper mechanism, a proper process, so that the members of the public or the public, basically you and me, the common people, they can raise the concerns pertaining to conflict of interest or disclosures including process to examine the complaint. So that the public, if it is raising some complaint against the XYZ member, let's say you are a neighbor of a member of the board of SEBI and you have recognized that there is some problem that is coming, because today the board of member of SEBI is purchasing new and new property, like the property is continuously increasing for this board of members, so there might be some problem. Okay, so the member of the public can raise the concern regarding the disclosures or conflict of interest and such. Now HLC is expected to submit its recommendations within 3 months from the date of constitution, which shall be placed before the board for consideration. So basically within 3 months the high level committee has to provide the recommendations to the board of SEBI, so that the board of SEBI can take these recommendations for considerations and can make more stringent norms for the conflict of interest and the disclosures. Okay, so this is the idea. Any confusion in this? Yes, you can say that, because Manish, see the case. I'm not going to take the name. I don't want to like create some controversy, but simply a case happened, and the case was closed just on the basis of the loophole that there was some external forces that were affecting or such and such. So there is always some loophole that are utilized in various cases in our country, especially by the most powerful people, and these loopholes make the people get free with minimal of the charges, or with minimum of the punishment. Okay, so this is why the loopholes, it has been very specifically said that identify any gaps or ambiguities that can help the perpetrator, or that can help the uh, person that has done the cheating or conflict of interest or has not done the complete disclosures. So gaps and ambiguities and loopholes have to be identified. Okay, so this has been recognized by SEBI that yes, there are some loopholes that has to be recognized. Now this is the perspective. Now before showing you the questions, let me tell you that this is the perspective 360-degree series that is going on, that is taken on Monday, Wednesday and Friday by Jaskaran sir. And he like, if you want to know the art of writing the answer, if you want to practice the answer writing, then you can join the sessions at 5 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday and Friday in the YouTube. And you can like, even the questions are provided to you for the descriptive answer writing, for which you can write the answers in the comment section of the sessions. And the answers are even evaluated free of cost, so you can know that what and where you are making the mistakes. Okay, so this is the idea. Now this is the first question. I hope you will be easily able to answer this question. This is regarding the eligibility criteria for CRA. Do tell me that what is the mistake in this question, or what is the incorrect statement in this question, and do tell me that why the statement is incorrect. Okay, so basically, first of all, you have to tell the correct statement, that which of the following statements are correct, that you have to tell. But in the comment section, when you are giving the right answer of the homework question, do tell me that which statement is wrong and why it was wrong. Okay, so do tell the right answer of this, do tell the correct answer and the correct statements, but with that, do tell me that why the statement, which statement was wrong and why. Next question is this, basically, why the high level committee was constituted, what was the purpose, so that you have to find. Okay, so these are the two questions. I hope you will be easily able to answer these questions, and thank you very much for joining the session. See you in the next session. Thank you everyone. I hope this is all clear. No, the extra disclosure. See, it has been clearly written that the disclosures, they happen right now also, but the disclosure requirements, like a more robust framework is required for the disclosure requirements covering the public disclosures. The public disclosures are need to happen, that how much property you have, investment you have, or the like liabilities you have. Okay, so that is the requirement. So disclosures, they happen right now also, but there is a more robust framework that is required for the disclosures. Okay. For LIC AO, you can just have the brief idea. It is not required to go too much in depth. Okay. So this is it. Thank you everyone. Thank you for joining. And I hope you like the session. Do give me the right answer of the homework question.